We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV 125, on all social media platforms and the JoyNews podcast. My name is Carlos Scaloni. Our headlines this hour: minority in Parliament furious about Finance Ministry's advice to President Akufo-Addo not to sign controversial anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament last week. We have details as Majority Leader urges members of the public to go to the Supreme Court over the bill.
The issues that members of Parliament, led by my good self, raised ought to be tested by the Supreme Court of the law of the land.
Also, we have data on countries that have criminalized LGBTQ and are still enjoying financial support from international organizations like the Bretton Woods Institution. Also, minority tear into government for allegedly purchasing pass questions for students ahead of the 2020 and 2021 WASI at a cost of more than 60 million cedis through sole sourcing. We have details of some responses given by the minister in Parliament. And later, a student of Malco Girls Senior High School raised concerns over the quality of food served under the free SHS program. The students say there is no variety in the meals they are given.
The food we eat, because something counts your blessing, and the count your blessing is opposite. The way it is not good at all, and we have something gas and rice. The way the rice is not nice at all.
Thank you so much for choosing us. Now let's begin from Parliament, where members of Parliament on the minority are furious about Finance Ministry's advice to President Akufo-Addo not to sign the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill into law. The bill is expected to land on the president's desk this week, but the Finance Ministry says the country could lose more than $3 billion in external financing if the bill becomes law. But the NDC MPs say the Finance Ministry's position is untenable. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweko Santi reports.
The expectation is that the clerk to Parliament, Cyril Kwabena-Otin-Nsia, will send that anti-gay bill passed by Parliament last week to the desk of the President this week. Finance Ministry, as we now know, have written to the President asking him not to sign because of some significant economic impact it will have on the country. The minority MPs are furious about the situation. They say Ghana cannot sell its sovereignty on the altar of a few dollars that institutions like the World Bank and the IMF bring in. Listen to Alassane Suhuyini, an MP for Sagnerigu, Alhaji Ebi Efuseni, making the strong point for why they believe that this is not a good basis to ask the President not to sign.
Without any iota of doubt, it's an insult to the good people of this country to say that Ghana as a sovereign country, as a sovereign independent country, must subsume the rights, interests, and aspirations of people to the altar of the interests and beliefs and values of external bodies like the IMF, World Bank, and WHO. So the interest of the World Bank, IMF, is more than that of Ghanaians.
It's a tragedy. It's very disappointing that the Finance Ministry, headed by a minister a while ago who spoke highly about the pride of our country, all of a sudden will be taking this position.
Alhaji Ebi Efuseni is also calling on the Ghanaian public to pour out on the streets to demand that President Akufo-Addo sign this bill into law.
Rise up and make sure that this particular, and I'm telling you that the streets must be flooded. Everybody must be prepared on this matter. To come onto the streets, thousands and millions of people must be prepared to flood the streets on this matter to protect our independence and sovereignty.
Former President John Dramani Mahama has been categorical that he supports this bill. He has also said that he does not accept LGBTQ activities in the country. The presidential candidate for the New Patriotic Party, however, has not said anything on this publicly. Member of Parliament for Bole Bambo, Yusuf Sulemana, is urging Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to come out publicly to express his view on this matter.
The flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to speak on this matter. The former President John Dramani Mahama and the candidate for the NDC has spoken, and he has made his position clear. Are you saying that when he comes to power, he will need foreign aid? He's aware of the implications, but he has juxtaposed the harm that this will cause us vis-a-vis the income or the wealth that we are going to get from foreign aid.
The president will then have 7 days to signify to Parliament whether or not he intends to sign it, and if he does not intend to sign it, within 14 days to write a memorandum to the Speaker of Parliament explaining which specific clauses in the law he does not wish to sign and preferring his own amendments. The House can then, by 2/3 majority, veto the president and force him to sign. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
But Majority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Markin is continuing his advocacy against the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament last week. The Majority Leader wants a citizen to mount an action to the Supreme Court of Ghana to test the constitutionality of the bill passed by Parliament, but yet to be signed into law by the President, although he will not comment if he himself would take the step.
That the issues that members of Parliament, led by my good self, raised ought to be tested by the Supreme Court of the law of the land. I mean, we are a growing democracy. This is not an emotional journey. This is about laws that have to do with the rights of citizens. So the test here is whether or not a sexual right, which is in itself being brought to question, should lead to a criminal penalty. In other words, if as a nation we say that our value systems do not support a man-to-man relationship, woman-to-woman relationship, are we also saying that the means of reforming people with that orientation is to incarcerate them? How does this position stand in accord with the Constitution? Also, the issues of advocacy, saying that a media house cannot take certain steps. How do we juxtapose that within the context of the Constitution? All these are matters that I believe that if they are tested in our Supreme Court, is going to help us to bring this matter to a good rest. For me, like I've always said, it is good to legislate against same-sex relationship. It's good to legislate and even criminalize those who will entice underage, young boys who are not of age, adults who try to engage in pedophilia. Those ones, yes, because a child below 18 does not have the necessary means to take a decision. It's not an adult enough per our laws. So you cannot entice such a person. That's for that one, we agree. But if you say that when somebody is in that situation and the person must suffer a jail term, I think that there's a problem. And the Catholic Church, a couple of days back, came out strongly to make a passionate appeal on that matter.
Now, Apenyo-Markin also says Ghanaians should not mount pressure on the president as the bill is still in Parliament, yet to be sent to the president.
Some seeming pressure on the presidency regarding the LGBT law Parliament passed. Well, the process is that when the bill is passed in Parliament, it has to be first compiled by the drafting department of Parliament. So you know that the bill went through several amendments. It has to be tidied up. And then thereafter, the clerk would have to authenticate it. And after the authentication, the speaker would have to certify. It's when all these are done that the bill is forwarded to the president for his assent. As we speak, as a leader of the House, I can say on good authority that we've not completed the process. So the public needs to know this so that a certain impression is not created out there that Parliament has transmitted the bill to the presidency and all. Nothing has moved to the presidency. In fact, Mr. Speaker is yet to receive the authenticated bill. The clerk to Parliament himself has not yet seen it. The drafting department is still compiling. I have been chasing it myself, and they say it requires some time because a lot of changes were done.
Now, still on the Ghana's Finance Ministry has cautioned the president not to assent to the proper human, sexual and family values bill. The ministry stated severe repercussions on the country's financial support from international organizations like the Bretton Woods Institution. My colleague Isaac Ofiege joins me in studio with a breakdown of some data from the countries that have criminalized LGBTQ and are still enjoying smooth program with the IMF. So what have you found out so far with the countries that have actually sign laws like this?
Well, so first let's talk about the basis for this, this whole discussion has to do with the Finance Ministry coming out to estimate that Ghana is likely to lose some $3.8 billion just from the World Bank if we go ahead to pass this, to make the bill a law. And they also speak about the IMF program that we are currently under, that the bill could have several repercussions on the program. They could not quantify a certain magnitude of amount that we'll be losing from the IMF, but they are just saying that if we go ahead to make the bill a law, we are certainly going to have problems with inflows from the World Bank and then also from the IMF. So what we did is that we decided to find correct and templates across Africa and see the countries that are currently enjoying IMF programs but have still criminalized LGBTQ plus activities. So we found a perfect template, which is Zambia.
Okay.
And the reason why we are talking about Zambia is that when we talk about the current IMF negotiations, they are like our IMF mates.
Okay.
The two of us...
We are colleagues at the IMF.
Exactly. The two of us, we all did debt restructuring together. It was a condition for us to get our programs through. Now, Zambia has a law that criminalizes, LGBT or same-sex marriage. And it started in 2005, and in just a year ago, there were arguments and some laws that they wanted to strengthen the strictness of this law. Now in Zambia, if you practice same-sex marriage, you could go to prison for a period of for your lifetime. That's how severe it is in Zambia. Now let's look at this piece that we saw. This is a newspaper that we saw, the Zambia Daily Mail. This was published somewhere Tuesday, 7th March 2023. So almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
So that same day that we saw this major headline that Sister Act criminal. And Sister Act here we mean gay activities or same-sex relationship. Sister Act criminal. Government warns gay champions will be punished. So the same scenario that we are seeing here in Ghana, that even if you promote it, you could face the law for doing that. Now, that same day, you see this headline as well. UK holds Zambia's hand on debt road. So we are talking about debt restructuring, which was a precondition for Zambia to get the IMF program through. So that same day that they reported this, you see there was also a backing from the UK for them to get the IMF program. Now, this is one of the evidence we found. This one will paint the whole picture really well. So Zambia is currently enjoying an IMF program, and the total estimated amount that they expected to get is around $1.3 billion. So far, they've been able to do 2 reviews that has given them close to $561 million, just like Ghana. Anytime we do our first review, they also do second review around the same time. And so we see Zambia having an IMF program. They've criminalized LGBTQ plus activities, but it has not affected their program. You can go on and talk about West African countries like Senegal, also has criminalized LGBTQ activities, but they're currently under an IMF program, which is estimated around almost $5 billion that they are enjoying. There's also a country like Kenya, which is also currently under an IMF program, also has criminalized LGBTQ activities. Now, in Kenya, there's an interesting development there. It is illegal for you to engage in same-sex marriage, but there was a ruling by their Supreme Court in exactly a year ago that also, brought this criticism against the Supreme Court. The president was against it. Even members of parliament were against it, where the Supreme Court categorically stated that their constitution was against discrimination based on sexual orientation. So indirectly, they were saying that allow people to
have their way.
Have their way, and that brought a lot of problems. So we've seen templates across Africa. Zambia is the perfect situation for us to learn from as a country. I mean, you can learn from Uganda, where they said they were going to take grants. But if we've looked at the data, although U.S. trade between Uganda and U.S. has actually dwindled a bit, it's not really significant like what we estimated that they weren't going to get anything at all. So if you look at templates across Africa, Zambia,
their session is really not supporting the reality.
But they are still enjoying Bretton Woods institution support. And we've made a case, we'll be losing close to more than $3 billion. And we hope that maybe we will not find ourselves in the same situation like maybe other countries, but we'll still be in the Zambia template and still enjoy smooth progress.
All right, thank you so much. Kofi Ajay is with our researcher. Now, from this particular law, let's move to education, where students of Malco Girls Senior High School have raised concerns over the quality of food they are served under the free SHS feeding program. Some of the concerns the students raise include the lack of balanced diet, repeated type of meal, and weevil-infested food, amongst others. The reaction are coming at the back of the release of the trailer of the latest JoyNews investigative piece titled Empty Plate, the Free SHS Promise, which reveals an acute shortage of food or some food items in many senior high schools across the country. We'll hear from the students shortly, but first, here are excerpts of the investigative report.
Sometimes they'll give you Gary, don't give you this. They'll give you this, they don't give you the Gary. So a school that is not having even 900 students is supposed to have 3 bags a day to feed 900 students.
Every night, these children go to bed burdened with thoughts about what they will eat when they wake up to a new day.
It's all about the quantity, the jollof too quantity, very small. And then the amount of sauce they serve per table, they are sitting on the table. Very small, very small. Some people don't even get most of the times.
It is no fault of theirs that the government that promised their parents free education is unable to provide enough food to feed their youthful appetites.
And sometimes kinky. The kinky they give us stew or sugar with blowfish.
Empty Plate, the free SHS Promise. Coming soon on JoyNews.
We can now listen to Malco Girls student who said they are fed weevil-infested food, among several other concerns.
The food we eat, because something counts your blessing, and the count your blessing is opposite. The way it is not good at all, and we have something gas and rice. The way the rice is not nice at all. It's not nice.
They claim they give you guys 3 square meal every day. Do you get it? 3 meals?
Yes.
Morning, afternoon, evening.
Yes.
You get them?
Yes.
Do you get a balanced diet of the food?
We don't have fish, egg, nothing. Nothing like protein inside. Only flour mixed with oil. Nothing. We don't get breakfast. Breakfast is not good. We don't have anything like nothing. There's no sugar, milk, nothing is packed.
Oh, okay.
So the meal is not balanced.
So you have to bring your sugar?
Yes, you need to bring your sugar to the dining room.
And your milk and your bread?
Yes.
Bread too?
Sometimes they give us bread, yes. But sometimes you see stones, and things in the food. And sometimes the food
is it a balanced diet?
It's not a balanced diet. Sometimes you can be eating banku for a month. Yes, afternoon and evening, every day. Afternoon, evening. For the past 3 weeks, I've been eating rice till now. Yes, rice.
Really?
Just rice without nothing.
Rice and gas. Just rice?
Yeah, rice and gas. The gas is mixture of,
Do you get fish or meat or something?
Nothing like
egg? no protein.
Nothing.
And then the porridge they give us too, like no milk. Sometimes the milk, one thing they'll have to share it with 10 pantries. One thing they'll pour it like a drop. 10 pantries.
Yeah.
Then the beans they provide their own gari. And the beans too like delayed.
Sometimes you get to the hall, they will tell you there is no food, so go and depend on your child's food.
Now, some parents have also weighed into the discussion and unleashing their anger at the Ministry of Education, expressing anger over the development as they demand an immediate action to rectify the situation.
Every week you have to send food to your children, and you have to find a teacher or somebody who lives in the school to cook for your child at your own expense. And they are sitting here telling us what? You look at the children when they come back from school, how lean they have grown. It's like we are punishing them just because of politics.
When media bring out a report, you are coming out that you have gone to do investigation. In which school? We pay so much money in feeding our children every day.
Every week, I have to send him close to 100 CDs to supplement the food he takes from the dining hall. And they tell you that you are told to come with your own bread and sugar and sometimes milk. The situation is very bad.
What is the essence of this free education?
Which school is your child in? What's the situation there?
Very bad. Look, if you ask her now, she can't go to toilet because there's no balanced diet.
But I think there's no perfect sense in this way. And I think we have to slow down a bit for the government because all over the world there's no perfect system.
And there are teachers in the campus of schools who are taking advantage of this, and they are cooking what the children call illegal food. So if somebody sits here in Accra and tell you that the children are being fed well, I think it is so crazy that they shouldn't get us annoying.
Now, even before the airing of the expose, government has already been busy touring some schools across the country to ascertain the severity of the situation. Now, reacting to some of the concerns, spokesperson at the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwarteng, insists the ministry has sufficiently provided for the feeding of the schools under the free SHS policy. He however adds that the ministry is willing to address any challenges. Now, I have been joined here by the channel manager for JoyNews, Kweku also Pepra, as for more on this particular documentary. So first, how far reaching is this investigation into the complaint we've had over the feeding challenges?
We went to everywhere that matters. We went to many schools. We went to all the 16 regions of this republic. Now, we visited so many schools to the point of saturation. And saturation here means, and as for many that have done research, you'll know that the point of saturation is where the evidence you are gathering begins to repeat itself and to duplicate and replicate and triplicate. So at that point, then you stop and you realize that you have achieved or gathered enough evidence to support the hypothesis you have built. Mind you, this is public interest journalism. And so you must do it such that the powers that be that would want to push back will struggle to do so. And that's what we have done. That is why there's a struggle to push back this incontrovertible evidence about the story. Forget not that for every child in a school who is hungry, there's a parent.
Sure.
There are uncles. There are brothers and sisters. And so for every child, you can snowball the concerns to an entire family who are all living, breathing witnesses of what is happening. So it's far-reaching, it's deep, it's detailed, and it's compelling.
Interesting. So what are the highlights of some of the evidence that you've gathered so far? Okay,
let me just share one with you. Case in point, investigator goes into a school and you find a dining hall prefect who now stands before the peers and says to them, look, colleagues, headmaster has had to travel to Accra. And the food that is available in our dining in the pantry is only gari and beans.
Wow.
So from now to the end of the term, we would all have to depend on gobe throughout. Let us pray that the headmaster would find favor. I'm just trying to paraphrase and bring some food when he returns.
So they can change a meal?
Yes. And if you examine the video, you find children sitting there, sadly, listening to this announcement. And so that's for me, reviewing the videos and going into it and editing and previewing every time, something that stays with me so much. So if you ask for a highlight, that's a classic case of a highlight.
Interesting. So when are we going to finally air this documentary? I believe the public is eager to know when.
We'll air soon, very soon. One of the reasons I enjoy the delay, is it a delay? The wait, is that for every day we wait, government is sending more food to the schools. Their reactions are very important and it's good. For every day that passes as we wait to play this documentary, the children are, the reaction, you find it, that they are going to the schools and eating with them. And
so we are getting some results, even as we are yet.
This is public interest journalism. We want to get results. And the result is that the matter must be fixed as soon as possible. That national review, that discussions that is being had about free SHS. This is one classic case of evidence that shows that we all want an improvement in the system. And
we are getting there
right now. And it requires journalism like this one that is fearless, independent, and credible to bring truth to power and mirror society back to itself. That's what we've done.
We're grateful. We'll leave it here. All right. Let's stay on education. Our classes have also resumed at Ejiso Senior High Technical School less than 48 hours after a rainstorm ripped off dormitory roofs, displacing about 250 students. Though the Ejiso Municipal Assembly sought to turn a warehouse into an improvised dormitory for affected students, that arrangement was put on hold over ventilation challenges. Now, school authorities are expected to break first-year students to alleviate the current situation of putting up in classrooms. Ohimiteria has the rest of the story.
A rainstorm on Saturday wreaked havoc on the campus of Ejiso Senior High Technical School as the oldest dormitory block had its roof ripped off. Textbooks and personal belongings of students were destroyed by the rains as students were left stranded. The lack of dormitories forced students to improvised classrooms as places of lodging. This was after school authorities abandoned the use of a warehouse as improvised dormitories suggested by the Municipal Assembly. During a JoyNews visit to the school on Monday, academic work had resumed. A team of artisans from the local assembly also worked around time to re-roof the affected dormitory. Headmistress Grace Asamani tells JoyNews the school will be breaking first-year students to create enough space for final-year students.
The Form 1s are vacating tomorrow, so they were writing their exams. And this morning, they wrote the first paper, and as we speak now, they are on their second paper. And the Form 3s are also in class. Teachers are in class doing what they are supposed to do. The Form 1s, since they are ending their end of semester exams today, those who live in Kumasi and around, of course, these students, they can live. We've already had our closing assembly. So the rest, God willing, tomorrow morning. Since the Form 1s are finishing their exams today, I think when they leave, we'll be able to create space for the remaining students. So their items were sent to the place. And so they will be able to sleep here on campus because most of the Form 1s will leave just this afternoon.
Classes were also in session at the Ejiso Experimental and Krapa NMA Basic Schools, which were also affected by the rains. Reporting for JoyNews from Ejiso, this is Ohimiteria.
This is still JoyNews Prime with me, Carlos Calone. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the minority in Parliament say they are dismayed by what they call the wanton dissipation of public funds after the ministry spent over 68 million cedis to purchase WASI past questions for students. The expenditure incurred in 2020 and 2021, according to the minister, was part of government's effort to ensure that students are properly prepared for the exams. While the minority are criticizing the sole sourcing used and the amount involved. More from the minority shortly. First, listen to the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhom, who says the decision to use sole sourcing was an advice from the Ghana Education Service.
As part of the government policy to improve access, equity and quality of education across the country, introduce the provision of materials to public senior high schools across the country under the Free Senior High School program to guide students in their learning and preparation towards the West African Examination Council's examination. The ministry employed the single source method in procuring the 568,755 past question papers for the senior high school students who wrote the West African Senior School Certificate exams in 2020. The method employed was informed by the recommendations from the Ghana Education Service and the West African Examination Council. Mrs. Akiola Publications Company Limited and Kingdom Books Stationery Limited were recommended by the GES and the West Africa Examination Council.
But Minority Chief Whip Governs Kwame Agbojo said the explanation did not make sense and that there was nothing in law that justified using sole sourcing to photocopy past questions.
Entity may engage in single source procurement under Section 41 with the approval of the board. It did not ask you to consult WAEC. It did not ask you to consult Ministry of Education in the process of determining the procurement source. So you keep repeating that with advice from WAEC and other things. The law does not ask you to do that. It's only the board that can do it. Mr. Speaker, with the figures you provided, Mr. Speaker, with the figures you provide, will you be surprised to know that based on the figures, the contract price and the number of question papers, one question paper photocopied is 59 Ghana cedis. Are you aware?
Honorable, the question is not admitted.
Speaker, isn't this? If you multiply the number of question papers times the 33 million, one question paper photocopy is 59 cedis.
Meanwhile, MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, whose name the question to the minister stood, told journalists at a news conference that it was unconscionable to blow 68 million cedis to photocopy past questions.
The Ministry of Education procured, photocopied examination question papers at a cost of 33 million Ghana cedis. Photocopy. 33 in 2020, 33 million Ghana cedi at a unit cost of 59.10 Ghana cedis. 59.10 Ghana cedis. A photocopy of examination question papers. And that was done under the single source procurement method. You and I know very well that we have a lot of companies, entities that could produce examination past questions. We have a lot. It is not only Akiola or Kingdom Books that could produce or that could make a photocopy of that. Even if that is the case, what is WAEC doing? The examination body. They could have also photocopied same for the government. But the Ministry of Education procured, photocopied this amount of money, taxpayers' money, of 33.6 million Ghana cedis in 2020. In 2021, they did same by using an amount of 34 million Ghana cedis at a cost price of 78 Ghana cedis as well. So in total, the government has spent 68.5 million Ghana cedis in 2 years in making photocopies of examination question papers for our WASI, candidates.
Now let's shift our attention to the power sector, where the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, has attributed a power outage that hit part of the Greater Accra, Western and Central regions last night to the development of a fault on one of the equipment at Malam substation in Accra. Gridco says the engineers are working to restore power to areas still without light. The following report has more.
The Ghana Grid Company, in a statement, indicated that the power outage that hit the western part of Accra last night and extended to parts of the western and central regions was as a result of a fault on an equipment at the Malam substation, which occurred at 8:28 p.m. Gridco says power has since been restored to most of the affected areas as at 10:30 p.m. Sunday evening, and assured customers yet to receive power that their engineers are working around the clock to ensure power is restored. There has been recent intermittent power supply, which has led to calls for the release of a doomsday timetable by Ghanaians. JoyNews sources in the energy sector say the recent power outages are as a result of inadequate fuel to power the thermal plants that generate power, and warned the issue will persist for long if nothing is done to remedy the situation.
Now, maternal mental health disorders are conditions that can result in a mother committing suicide or even murdering her baby. Research also shows that maternal mental health disorders can cause preterm deliveries, as well as stunting and nervous system development delays in children. As scary as the condition is, a majority of health care workers in Ghana do not have any knowledge about maternal mental health disorders. This is according to the WHO's maternal mental health situation analysis in Ghana. Stakeholders have been discussing the seriousness of this disorder at a research dissemination meeting at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region, from where correspondent Albert Sorry reports.
Maternal mental health disorders include depression, anxiety, and substance use disorder. Symptoms generally include extreme sadness, difficulty for a mother to bond with her baby, suicidal thoughts, and difficulty concentrating. These may occur during pregnancy, childbirth, or after delivery. In Ghana, over the years, maternal mental health disorders have scarcely been discussed until now. The World Health Organization has been doing a situation analysis on maternal mental health in Ghana. The research has revealed a rather worrying situation as far as the prevalence of the disorders in Ghana is concerned. Lead consultant Dr. Promise Sefoga shared some of the findings at the Northern Zone dissemination meeting held in Bolgatanga.
So these were studies done from across Ghana. In Boko, we found a prevalence of 50.4% of postpartum depression. The other one we did in Greater Accra, at the district level, we found about 9%. At the regional hospital, those who are delivering in the regional hospital, about 31%. Those who are delivering in the tertiary hospital, where more complicated cases are referred to, about 41%. And that gave a national average of about 27%. Maternal mental health disorders lead to complications that affect the mother and the child. They lead to preterm birth, they lead to other problems for the mother, they lead to problems for the child. Some of these children tend to have brain and nervous system development delays.
What policies are being adopted to help address the problem of maternal mental health disorders in Ghana? Dr. Martin Boama is the Technical Officer for Maternal and Child Health at the Country Office of the World Health Organization.
We are looking at integrating the interventions right through all the levels of the healthcare, right from the community through to the tertiary facilities. And so it is something that we are discussing and will support the Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service to look at this. We'll be focusing on issues of capacity building for the healthcare workers. Currently, we don't have any policy that speaks directly to maternal mental health issues. And so people or organizations like the Parliament, the Ministry of Health, and Ghana Health Service, civil society all have to come together and put in the right policy that will address these maternal mental issues comprehensively.
For Joy News, Albert Sori, Bolgatanga.
We'll return with Showbiz. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And Becky, you're here. You're looking so gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
As always, not only today.
Yeah.
Every day.
Thank you for having me on JoyNews Prime. I really appreciate you. But the news I'm about to tell, I'm sure you've heard about it, but Nigerians are mourning popular Nollywood actor John Okafor, better known as Mr. Ibu, who has died at the age of 62. Court announced with deep sense of grief that Mr. Ibu didn't make it, said the Actors Guild of Nigeria, President Emeka Rollas, on Saturday. He said the actor had a cardiac arrest. Okafor rose to fame 2 decades ago in the film Mr. Ibu, which became his career-long nickname. It is still regarded as one of the best Nigerian performances in a comic role. He went on to star in more than 200 Nollywood films, including Kezia, 9 Wives, and several Mr. Ibu sequels. Quote, "Rest well, sir," said actress Mercy Johnson Okoje in her tribute. The actor's health issue first came to public attention last year. One of his legs was amputated in November after fans donated to a crowdfunding scheme for his medical bill. Since then, his son, Daniel Okafor, and adopted daughter, Jasmine Chioma, have been arrested on suspicion of hacking into his phone and taking $60,700 for themselves. The pair have not commented since the arrest in January and are expected to appear in court on 11th March for the next hearing. Local media say he is survived by his 13 children. May his soul rest in perfect peace. I pray that he finds rest because he suffered the latter part of his...
But he made us also laugh.
Yeah, he did. He did. And we're grateful to him for that. But let's move away from Mr. Ibu. Let's talk about Ghana, showbiz and politics. So musician Pat Thomas was on Showbiz A to Z this weekend, and he's been talking a lot about politics, and he says that if given the chance, he will take up a responsibility at that level because he's decided that, well, he's grown enough and has learned enough to get to this point.
Now I think I'm of age, and I think if I'm given any appointment that is within my capacity, I will be able to contribute positively to the development of this country.
A ministerial appointment, let's say Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture?
When we get to that road, we'll cross it, because at the end of the day, all these ministerial positions, they are political appointments. And so long as you are smart and you are intelligent and you know what's going on in this country, wherever they put you, you can deliver if you really want to.
Have there been conversations regarding this particular?
Not yet.
Are you looking forward to that?
Not really. Because you see, there's so many people who can play that role.
Okay.
To me, the most important thing is whoever is put at that place to play the role, if you give him the advice and they will take, so long as the enabling environment is created, it will help me to do my business.
Omar right there. And that will lead us to our Ghana Month celebration. Today, we'll be talking about fufu. So I think 2 years ago, was it 2 years? I'm not too sure. 2 years ago, I asked R2B's musician R2Bs about their favorite food, and guess what it is?
One is fufu.
Okay. So can you prepare? Do you know the ingredients that are used to prepare the fufu?
And the awoka. Boys, no, what did they call awoka?
Yeah. So you do it all by yourself?
The awoka.
Okay.
Well, food R2Bs is talking about is fufu, or fufu is a pounded meal found in the West African cuisine. Yeah, it is a Twi word that originates from the Akans in Ghana. The word has been expanded to include several variations of the pounded meal found in other African countries, including Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, Angola, Haiti, and Gabon. Although the original ingredients for fufu is boiled cassava, plantains, and cocoyam from Ghana, it's also made in different ways in other African countries. In Ghana, they use the method of separately mixing and pounding equal portion of boiled cassava and green plantain or cocoyam, or by mixing cassava, plantains, or cocoyam flour with water and stirring it on a stove. Its thickness is then adjusted to personal preference, and it's eaten with a variety of soup, with vegetables, and lots of beef and fish. Fufu is traditionally eaten with the fingers, and a small bowl of it can be dipped into an accompanying soup or sauce. Delicious. What's your favorite food? Maybe
my favorite is akble, and then agbametaji.
Oh, agbametaji.
Yeah.
How do we prepare that? So it's like corn dough, cassava dough.
Yes, you mix it up.
You
prepare it, and then you grind the pepper.
Just the pepper.
Yes, and then add some. Do
you like the pakposhito or like
yes,
the
I like
red
the
pepper?
Yes, no,
because
not the chili pepper. I like the pakposhito.
The pakposhito.
Yes, and then you slice some onions
and a little bit of.
Yeah.
Do you like a little bit of what's it called? Not really, a bit of garlic.
Yeah, sure.
As
a
well.
bit of ginger to it. Yeah. So good.
So we'll be giving you a lot more about Ghana Month, our food, because we're celebrating Ghana, we're celebrating everything Ghanaian. We'll bring you music, we'll bring you food, we'll bring you drinks. And when you're done drinking and everything, you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Because with Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Thank
you
you so
want to wrap up, or you want me to wrap up?
Okay, wrap up for us.
We're so great. Thank you so much. We're so grateful that you could join us this evening for JoyNews Prime. This is your election headquarters for every news. Log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. Also, in entertainment, well, if you want everything entertainment, everything showbiz, My Joy Online is also there for you. You can catch my episode of E-Vibes coming soon. Please, don't go away. Business is up next with who?
Emma Davis.
We are grateful.
Bye-bye.